Despite a nervy ending, Newcastle got all the 3 points. So from the Bruno Guimarães magic,
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
to the relentless Gordon, to the Wissa debut. Plus, how has Jacob Murphy recently destroyed Liverpool? As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Newcastle United 2 Burnley 1.
Let's go!
So the first major takeaway from the game was the Bruno Guimarães moment. The captain delivered when Newcastle needed him most, scoring the club's first ever Olympico in the Premier League after a shaky opening spell. It was a moment of brilliance and composure rolled into one, lifting the stadium and the team. Bruno played several lovely through balls in the first half and was constantly trying to unlock the opposition, but Newcastle struggled to break down the low block after the interval. Still, this was the definition of a captain's performance. Bruno Guimarães finished the game with a 9.0 match rating, scoring 1 goal from an expected goals value of 0.16, while also registering 0.23 expected assists. He created 1 big chance, produced 1 key pass, and attempted 6 crosses. On the ball, he was faultless, completing 66 of 70 passes, 94%, including 48 of 51 passes in the opposition half, 94%, and 18 of 19 in his own half, 95%. His long passing was measured, completing 1 of 2 long balls, and he dominated the game with 93 touches. Bruno completed 1 successful dribble, was fouled 4 times, and consistently drew pressure away from teammates. Defensively, he was just as influential. Bruno made 6 recoveries, won 6 of his 8 ground duels, and was not dribbled past once all game. He ended the match with the most touches of any player, highest passing accuracy, and ranked 3rd for completed dribbles, underlining just how central he was to everything Newcastle did. That goal also came with historic significance. Bruno Guimarães scored the 20th goal ever netted directly from a corner in Premier League history, and crucially, it was the first Olympico ever scored by a Newcastle player in the competition. His recent home form only reinforces his importance. In his last 5 Premier League games at St James's Park, Bruno has delivered with 4 goals and 1 assist, a captain leading from the front. Then moving on to relentless Gordon. He tucked away the penalty with complete composure and on another day, could easily have walked off with more than 1 goal after striking both the crossbar and the post. It was a performance full of intent and aggression, offering far more attacking threat throughout the match. On the ball, he showcased his quality with a perfectly weighted through pass for Anthony Elanga that ultimately led to the red card, while his direct running and pace caused constant problems for Kyle Walker, who was booked early trying to contain him. Gordon finished the match 2nd for total shots, created the most chances on the pitch, and completed the most successful dribbles, underlining just how influential he was. Anthony Gordon ended the game with a 9.1 match rating, scoring 1 goal from an expected goals value of 0.88. He took 3 total shots, recorded 0.87 expected goals on target, and hit the target once. He struck the woodwork twice, had no shots blocked, and was heavily involved with 63 touches. Gordon completed 3 successful dribbles from 3 attempts, produced 2 key passes, and attempted 6 crosses, although none found their target. In possession, he completed 35 of 42 passes, 83%, including 30 of 37 passes in the opposition half, 81%, while maintaining perfection in his own half by completing 5 of 5 passes, 100%. This was a statement performance from Gordon, sharp, fearless, and decisive, and exactly the kind of display Newcastle need from him moving forward. Then, we also learned about under-the-radar Willock. Arguably Newcastle's best player in the first half, he was one of the few who injected energy after a lethargic opening, driving the team forward and helping to raise the tempo when it was badly needed. His influence faded after the break, but he can still be reasonably content with his overall contribution on the day. What continues to elude him, however, is a goal, something that would complete his performances. Even so, he was solid and reliable in midfield. Joe Willock finished with a 6.6 match rating. He registered 1 key pass, completed 27 of 32 passes, 84%, and was particularly effective in advanced areas with 23 of 28 passes completed in the opposition half, 82%, while maintaining a perfect record in his own half with 4 of 4 passes, 100%. He also completed 1 out of 1 long ball, 100%, took 1 shot, and recorded 39 touches. Defensively, He won 2 out of 2 tackles, made 1 clearance, and came out on top in 2 of 3 ground duels, offering balance and work rate throughout his time on the pitch. However, even though Eddie Howe, having seemingly taken note of the calls for more minutes, gave Jacob Ramsey extended involvement, it simply wasn't his day. Time and again, he found himself in promising attacking positions only for a heavy or misplaced touch to halt any momentum. The afternoon was summed up late on when he conceded a penalty with a needless handball, capping off a frustrating and ultimately costly display. Jacob Ramsey also ended with a 6.6 match rating. He created 1 key pass and was tidy in possession, completing 56 of 60 passes, 93%, including 40 of 43 in the opposition half, 93%, and 16 of 17 in his own half, 94%. He completed 1 out of 1 long ball, took 1 shot, and finished the match with 73 touches. Defensively, he won 1 of 2 tackles, made 1 clearance, recorded 8 recoveries, won 3 of 4 ground duels, 1 aerial duel, committed 2 fouls, and was not dribbled past. But the decisive moment was the penalty conceded, which overshadowed his statistical output. Ramsey now needs a defining moment soon to start justifying his price tag. Maybe a derby winner would do nicely. Then moving on to the real truth. Newcastle's league position tells 2 very different stories depending on when you choose to stop the clock. If matches ended earlier, we would be sitting very high up the table. When games run the full 90 minutes, however, our position drops sharply, a clear reflection of the ongoing issue with game management and seeing matches out. That concern surfaced again here, with a late scare in the 90th minute reminding us how fragile things can still be. But the most important thing is simple. We won and we took all 3 points. A win is a win. Make no mistake, those were 3 massive points. Mission accomplished. Having picked up 10 points from the last 12 available, Newcastle now sit just 3 points off the top across the opening 15 league games. We have more points than at the same stage last season, which speaks volumes about the progress being made. Ahead of the derby against Sunderland, Newcastle United are 1 point behind them in 8th place, and more importantly, only 3 points behind 4th place Chelsea. The gap is small, the margins are fine, and there is a growing sense that better days lie ahead. Talking about better days ahead, after 96 days since signing for the club, Yoane Wissa finally made his Newcastle debut. Understandably short of sharpness after a lengthy layoff, he still showed flashes of what he can offer. He had 1 notable opportunity to put the ball on a plate for Elanga, only to blaze the cross over his head. He finished with a 6.6 match rating, recording 10 touches, completing 7 of 8 passes, 88%, with 5 of 6 passes completed in the opposition half, 83%, and 2 of 2 in his own half, 100%. He also completed 2 out of 2 long balls, 100%. He will undoubtedly be better for the run-out, and his return could prove crucial as Newcastle look to build momentum in the weeks ahead. Then, in something that genuinely raised eyebrows, it looks like Liverpool may be casting an admiring glance toward Jacob Murphy. Speaking ahead of his side's 3-3 draw with Leeds on Sunday, Arne Slot surprisingly name-checked Murphy during his pre-match press conference, openly admitting that his Liverpool squad does not currently possess a player of that profile. The Dutchman was reflecting on Alexander Isak's struggles against low blocks, explaining that the environment at Liverpool demands very different solutions compared to Newcastle. The main difference for him is that we are facing a low block many times. It is not that it never happened at Newcastle, but not as much, I think, Slot told The Guardian. He went on to say that while part of the issue is Isak adjusting to his teammates and vice versa, there is a very clear tactical gap in his squad. It is obvious and clear that we have not the profile of Jacob Murphy, for example, available at this moment at this time. That is a remarkable admission when you really sit with it. A Liverpool manager openly stating they lack a player with Jacob Murphy's attributes is not something anyone would have predicted a few years ago. Newcastle fans, though, understand exactly what Slot means. Murphy's direct running, selfless movement, relentless pressing and understanding with Isak have been essential in unlocking defenses. Many supporters have long felt that Isak simply does not thrive in the same way without Murphy alongside him, and Liverpool's recent struggles against compact sides only underline that point. Less than 24 hours later, the situation at Anfield became even more intriguing. Mohamed Salah, who was dropped for the Leeds game, publicly suggested that he does not know what the future holds following a breakdown in his relationship with Slot. While the 2 sets of comments are not directly connected, the timing makes for fascinating reading. On one hand, Slot is admitting to a structural deficiency in his squad. On the other, Liverpool are dealing with clear tension behind the scenes involving their biggest star. From a Newcastle perspective, it is hard not to feel a certain sense of irony. Liverpool moved early to sign Hugo Ekitike, denying Newcastle a transfer target, and later took Isak from the club, only to see him struggle for form in an environment that does not suit his strengths, compounded by internal issues at the club. Do I feel bad for Liverpool because of that? No, not at all. What this really highlights is how Newcastle have quietly built a system where players like Murphy are not just squad options, but key pieces. And when rival managers start publicly acknowledging that, especially managers of Liverpool, it tells you just how far this team has come. And finally, if you'd like to discover some fascinating things about Nick Woltemade that you probably didn't know, click the video on screen now.